Not everybody's going to see it the same as you. And then I think the biggest challenge is your internal thought process, your internal that voice in your head that's like,
Welcome to the Stephen Lee Thomas Show, where we provide expert advice for real estate entrepreneurs. And I'm your host, Stephen Lee Thomas. And it wasn't that long ago that I was navigating the challenges of real estate investing, learning from my mistakes, and building the business I have today. I created the show to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. Each week, we bring you in-depth discussions with industry leaders and professionals who share their knowledge and practical tips. So sit back, take notes, and let's dive into today's episode. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This week, we've got Brandon Martinez. Brandon Martinez, I love every time I talk to this guy. He is one of the most successful people that I know. If you look into the last couple of years in real estate, with all of the struggles that I've been seeing in commercial real estate, he's one of the very few people that have actually been able to get into multiple deals in the last couple of years. There's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and I wanted to bring Brandon in today because I know he's got a fantastic mindset on how to deal with all of this. So, Brandon, thank you so much for being with us today.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the kind words.
So, Brandon, a little bit about you. You have been, I see you started investing back in 2018, right, as a passive investor.
That is correct.
And then you got into being a GP, a general partner, or an owner in 2021. Is that?
That's correct as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then, in that time, you've been able to get yourself into 6 deals for a little over 1,000 units. You do CapEx management. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but you have helped other people implement their business strategies at over 50 different properties. That's huge. Um, and like I said, all of that, you really started like going full scale pretty close to when things started to go downhill. So for someone who's like just really leaned in and been all in, while a lot of people have struggled, I really wanted to have you come in and share your insights with other people today. So can you tell us a little bit more about you, how you got started and where you're at right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree that it was a tougher time to get started. You don't have to wait that long. I think once you start learning the basics, as long as you jump on with a team that knows what they're doing, do your due diligence on who you're going to partner with, of course. And I was just, busy passive investing, but I had a business to run, which, was for any sort of commercial construction management. But then as I saw my brother being so successful in this field or in this industry, I was like, maybe I can just make this a full-time multifamily construction management. And as you learn the lingo and get into multifamily, you're like, okay, everybody uses this term CapEx. It's this very similar term, but there's a reason they say CapEx instead of construction. And that's because it encompasses so much more than just actual construction projects. And so once I made that transition to full-time, passive investing was like a no-brainer because I was already, servicing investors. And so I could kind of get a peek into the deal, whether it's due diligence or construction management or CapEx. I could kind of start figuring out what deals were good, maybe what deals were bad, and, kind of get the inside scoop. And so passive investing was easy, but it depends on who you surround yourself with as well. The people around me didn't really see a CapEx person or a boots on the ground person as somebody that was, I say, valuable enough to be a partner. Everybody's number one question as you find out as you get into the business is, can you raise capital? And if your
Right.
answer is no,
Absolutely. Yeah. Can you raise capital? Yeah.
yeah. If the answer is no, they'll call you back later. So once they get the deal and they figure out the capital and like, oh, now we need a CapEx guy. And so I started doing that. I started trying to figure out how to raise capital, but it wasn't until a mentor in the business called me and said, hey, every deal definitely could use a boots on the ground guy. Just do your best to raise capital. But, if the GPs aren't planning to be at the property every day, general partners, somebody's got to do that job, and you're ideal for that because of your background. And that gave me the confidence to start doing deals. Unfortunately, it was 2021 when that call took place. And so, but for that question of it being difficult now these days, sorry, I got sweat in my eye. There's no AC, by the way, up in this maintenance room at this
So
leasing office.
okay, so this is the beauty of being live, right? So
Yeah.
Brandon is on site at a property, is one of the properties they recently acquired. And we had this call scheduled, and he's like, "Hey, I'm at the property, and where are you at right now, Brandon? Tell everybody where you're at."
Yeah, so it's the second floor of the leasing office, which is all maintenance. And I wish it's the maintenance shed. And I wish these guys would have told me they don't have AC up here when they're up here. I'm going to do something about that.
So it's
It's
like a
about
thousand
summer.
degrees, maybe not that, but
It's
but
not
it's
that hot
getting
yet, but
warm.
it's getting
It's
there.
getting
Yeah.
warm where Brandon's at. But Brandon, we appreciate you pushing through right
Yeah,
now.
I didn't want to bother the leasing, the staff up down there. So, okay, so then 2021 hit, and it was tougher, but well, like I said, the partners I had were smart about it. The deals I'm part of are they're not home runs yet, and we got to wait it out, but they're also not struggling like some of the ones I've seen. And so, we got lucky in terms of just being prepared, getting the right loan, getting the right deals. But because I saw Justin, my brother, and so many others start so long ago, I've seen what multifamily can do. And now I just know I'm part of the graph, right? I'm part of it's going down, it's going to come back up, and this is going to continue. And so I just remind myself, even though these deals I joined 21, 22, and this latest one in 2023, where I'm at now, it's just a matter of time. And we just have to, pay attention to every dollar that we spend and really be involved.
There's two things you mentioned that I want to go back to. And so the first one is boots on the ground, right? You said the first thing people are going to ask you is, can you raise capital? And I totally agree with you. That's a big deal. But most people try to go after these very large deals just because of the economies of scales. I get that. However, boots on the ground, I can attest to having somebody on the ground in the neighborhood, not only to go drive by the property when you're first looking at it, but actually to show up and like build a relationship with the people at the property is
Of
worth
course.
its weight in gold. It's huge. So anybody listening, if you have the opportunity to be boots on the ground, that is very, very, very important. And then the other thing too, Brandon, CapEx. I'm going to talk a little bit more about CapEx. So CapEx is not just like dollars spent, to repair this, repair that, but you have to look at it also is what are the opportunities where I can spend money and make money? Where can I put money into the deal and get a return on investment? And Brandon, you and I have looked at a lot of deep deals, and I can underwrite from 1,000 miles away, but I cannot see what's at the property. I can't easily see what's at other properties. Brandon, you've been able to add that value and say, hey, I'm very familiar with these different things that can be done because of where you've been able to implement those other deals and the cost and the return on investment. So that CapEx piece, the person who can be there and actually help implement that, once again, golden opportunity for people to be in that position. And that's where I think that you've been able to add so much value in those deals and probably get into the number of deals you have because of that value. So I think it's been very strategic for you. I just wanted to go back and just shed a little bit of
Yeah,
light on
absolutely.
those two
And
pillars.
yeah, sorry to interrupt. On that note, I think there's a little bit of a delay. Maybe it's on my end, but on that note, it's crazy. The learning curve never ends. Like I'm 7 years in now, and I think it was like 6 months ago. I was like, man, maybe the brokers when they put together those OMs, maybe it's not always accurate. It's like, it's so obvious to me now. It seems like common sense because their goal is to sell the property, right?
Yeah.
But I just, when you talk about having somebody there to go to the property on property tours and verify all the information that you're underwriting, I mean, these days, especially because the transactions are so little, the OMs seem to be more fluffy, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
and you really got to double and triple check what you're getting into with the property. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, I want to hang out in this space where if you have been in the apartment investing area since, let's see, 2021 going into 2022, um that's when interest rates shifted drastically. All the deals were on floating rate debt. And it's been it's been tough. And I've seen a number of people who have had, their properties foreclosed on, or people who are just leaving altogether, but you've been so successful in this space. So, question for you. Why is it important, and share with everybody, why is it important to remain focused on your goals regardless of any setbacks? Because there definitely have been setbacks, but you've been able to push through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll try to answer this from a perspective as somebody who doesn't obsess over like I'd say greatness, like athletes, and whether it's a musician like Drake or an athlete like Kobe, or an actor like Denzel. I get made fun of from my family. They're like, why are you always following these people? And I'm like, I'm following their like work ethic and their routine. I'm not really, they're not like these, superstar. I mean, there are superstars, but I'm not like idolizing them that much. But I'm
Mhm.
saying they're doing something right. And so whether it's the books like I'm reading now, Relentless was the mental coach of Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. And I'm really into those types of books, and not giving up. And so I'm kind of mentally built that way. But if you look at it from a perspective of somebody just getting into the business, or maybe they're fairly new and they've been putting a lot of work in, and they don't have the older brother that they've already seen successful in the business.
Mhm.
So in that case, it's sort of like once you commit to something, there's really no point in doing it half-assed, because what's going to happen is you're going to get the results of that 50% effort, and you'll never truly know if you were actually successful or not, because you were spending most of your time doubting, listening to the doubters and haters and all that. And
Or
it's a
even that
big
own voice in
distraction.
your head, right? That
Oh,
voice in
that,
your
yeah,
head is
totally
like the
can be that.
worst.
Yes. And we all have those days where that voice is louder than others. And so, um, anytime you're putting effort or time or passion into anything, there's going to be noise. There is no such thing as, any sort of industry where there's no noise. There's always going to be noise, and things are going to go wrong. So I think that paying attention to the setbacks is what you're really supposed to do, and not treat them as an emotional reaction, but treat them as knowledge. Okay. So now we have a setback here. How can I learn from it and turn it into a superpower, turn it into a power, a gain for me, like a positive? And so when the setbacks happen, or, something didn't go your way, you can either, let it bring you down and create the doubt, and then and that can spiral. Or you can there was a mentor I had at one of my first construction companies, and he would always, a very religious guy, and he would say, anytime something went wrong, with his like truck broke down, he got a flat or something, he was like, God bless. Like, he would say that about every negative thing. It was a little super annoying in the beginning, but it rubbed off on me. And then when something bad would happen, I noticed myself getting excited. And that was like his superpower, is he would always get excited when something bad happened to him, because he's like, that means something good is right around the corner. What a mindset to have, right?
That's an amazing mindset. You said so much valuable information. So I love you
Yeah.
said if you start down this path, and if you get setbacks or you get distracted, if you only end up putting in 50%, you're only going to get 50% out of it. So you got to commit to the journey. You have to commit to the journey. And then part of the journey, what I hear you saying is you're going to hit setbacks. Look at that as the opportunity to move forward. Look at that as an opportunity to turn it into your superpower. So somebody told me the other day that walls aren't meant to stop you, they're meant to keep people out who shouldn't be there.
100%.
And I think that's like you nailed it right there. I think that's amazing. So all right. So the next thing is you and I met in a syndication program. And they're great. I've learned a ton from being in a syndication program. But you and I also know that there's the syndication program in and of itself is not the answer to absolutely everything,
Correct.
right? They're a
Yeah.
fantastic way to get started and get your foot in the door. And there's education there, but so what's something that you think many new real estate investors do wrong, or the people who come in and they're new to it when they join a syndication program, and what should they do instead?
Yeah. And so this is, purely opinion, right? And everybody's experience is going to be different. So, but I think they have to take a look at their own set of skills. And
Mm-hmm.
I that can be hard to do because sometimes, it takes a friend or a partner, loved one to go. They see that thing you're not seeing behind you, like something about, whether it's your routine or, maybe it's procrastination, something that's off about your skill set. And at these events where they're pitching these syndication programs, everybody in the room feels like a rock star and they all feel like they can get it done and they can do it. And I mean, it's true. If you set your mind to it, you can. But but what you have to look at is like what parts make up any industry or any business. Okay. And in our world, it's like raising capital, asset management, underwriting, and then one that doesn't get talked about enough, but I think because of the current times, more and more people are paying attention to is that boots on the ground, the CapEx knowledge, the due diligence knowledge, right? And so if you look at those four positions, first, do you actually have the skill set? Like if you're introverted, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't raise capital, but like maybe you already have a network that you're part of. Maybe you're in IT or you're in the medical field and you already have thousands of people that you can raise capital from. That's different. But maybe you're introverted, or maybe if you want to be a CapEx person, boots on the ground, like in DFW or something, do you even have time for that? Because for me, time is what I have.
Mm-hmm.
All I do every day, 10 hours, 16 hours a day is CapEx and I'm at properties. So if you have a W-2 job, you're in a tough part of raising a family, all that can be affected. So first you say, which lane do I want to take? And which position do I want to play? And is it realistic to actually do that? I don't think people do that before they drop whatever large amount is on these syndication programs. They're not cheap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can get a lot of free education and you can get a lot of education from the events. And I think they just rush into it too quickly. And of course, if you're running one of these syndication events, you're like, no, I want them to sign up day one when they
Yeah,
get there.
yeah, yeah.
That's the goal, and that's perfectly fine. They have set it up in a way where you can tag along the more expert teams, and you can jump in day one. But I feel like that's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure, and I feel like people get their hopes up, and in 6 months they've already quit, right? Or they've already given up, and that's going to happen. You're going to get burned out because it's so much at once. So my advice is like really take your time, be methodical. There's multiple groups that you can join, but definitely get some sort of education, and definitely don't rely on your own yourself to do everything for sure.
Okay. All right. So I remember when I first started, I had the mindset of I think I can do most of this. So two things. One is nobody had taken the time to break down what, some of the things you were just saying, right? There's different roles that are involved. There's someone who can do asset management, someone who can do CapEx, someone who can do underwriting, someone who can do capital raising.
Mhm.
You have net worth, liquidity, you have all these different roles. That wasn't a concept that was introduced to me early on. It was kind of presented, hey, like here's how you go find a deal. Um, but that advice you have is find out where your strength is, or the one thing maybe you can do, and then find the rest people to help you build that team, right? So
Yeah,
I think
100%.
to do that, and then also it's not a short term, or it's not a quick thing. It's a long thing. You're in it for the long haul. So I think people need to realize that as well. And so I want to piggyback. One of the things you're just saying is that you might get 6 months into it and you're like, man, this sucks. Like I thought it was gonna be easy, right? I attended this and I see all these people that are successful. But maybe you didn't see the years of effort they put into it. So what do you think the most challenging part is about trying to maintain a positive mindset when dealing through this? And then for anybody that's like, I mean, think about the last 2 years, like people have got into the program
Mhm.
and maybe they've lost some money or maybe they haven't gotten any deal. So what do you think the most challenging part is about maintaining that positive mindset?
Yeah, I'd say the most challenging part is that. Okay, do you mind if I back up a second?
Yeah, please go for it.
Okay, so yeah, I will say once you're in it and you get a deal, it is a lot of fun. And it is sometimes you forget that you're like it doesn't seem like a job. If you like improving communities and making money for investors and like it's to me it's way better than a 9 to 5. I mean, a lot of things can beat a 9 to 5, but so there are positives to once you get in. I feel like I only said negative things, and yeah, so it's worth it. if you're, like you just said, if you're committed for the long term. So anyways, sorry, somebody's there. Yeah, so the challenge, remind me of the question again. I'm sorry, Steve.
The question is the most challenging part of maintaining a positive mindset.
I got you. Yeah, so I'd say it's just what makes it difficult is that, um, especially if you're going to be on social media, a lot of these if you join a program or mentorship education, most of them use community and they use education like, on platforms. So
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna, if you saw my Facebook or my Instagram, you would be like, oh my God, how are you not depressed? Because all I see every day is close. I close the deal. Even in these times, like
Yeah.
somebody's always doing something extremely amazing that is way out of your reach at the moment. And so, and I'm always happy for them, and it makes it's like a positive feeling for them, but you're like, man, I'm so far behind. So you have that fear of missing out, you get that FOMO,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a huge challenge. And then also, if you keep up with current events, if you're always watching the news, and if you're always like going to the events to get the latest on what interest rates are about to do, it can get dark, right? And if you end up networking with the wrong person, you're like, man, maybe I shouldn't be in multifamily at all.
Right.
Like I know people that, like, I'm done with multifamily, I'm moving on. And so I think that's the challenge with keeping a strong mindset is just not everybody's going to see it the same as you. And then I think the biggest challenge is your internal thought process, your internal that voice in your head that's like saying it's not going to work out for you. And I feel like the best thing to do for that is take action. So the reason that it's easier for me to always like be in a what seems to be like a good mindset is like I'm always on the go. I'm always doing something. I'm always
Mm-hmm.
adding value to deals. If I ran out of deals to add value to, I would like start coaching right away. I'd be like, who can I add value to their deals? So like, and that keeps my it's constantly positive reinforcement for me. So
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So one last question. If you could rewind the clock to when you first got started, you imagine you walked in the door to this first, real estate event and you're getting ready to sign the paperwork to join the program. What's the single piece of advice you would give yourself?
I would probably do my signature wrong. That way, if it doesn't go right, no, I'm just kidding. So yeah, if I could go back to that day, okay. So for me, I would have started earlier. I would have jumped in earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have the time and you know which lane you want to be in, I think they say, ready, fire, aim, or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, because that you really can't make the decision until you get into it. And I actually had somebody tell me this the other day. They were like, that would be cool if society allowed you to jump into a full-time job in an industry for 3 months at a time for like 5 years and do different industries and then decide what your career is going to be. But what's
Wow.
the what's the
Yeah.
last thing they want to see on your resume is that you're leaving a job every 3 months. So it's not built that way, but you really can't make a decision until you get into it. So get into it as quickly as you can if you're ready. And just start, taking chances, taking risks, especially right now. I'd say like right now is a great time. I mean, I sound like the people on stage. Right now is a great time to get in because, the prices are dipping and,
Yeah.
and it is a good time. So,
Right on. Well, I think that listening to you, for anybody that has children, I was sharing this with somebody the other day. I don't think you ever feel like you're ready to have children, but you just do it and then you just kind of like go with it.
yeah.
And it's super challenging, but it's very rewarding. And you're committed to it. So you have to just stay committed to the journey. So I think if I had to like just package up everything that you were sharing with us is um once you make the decision, like just be all in because it's not going to be easy. You're going to hit roadblocks, you're going to hit obstacles. That's your opportunity to like really dig in and learn. And that's what's going to set you apart and it's going to push you forward to help you move forward when things are bad and you're the only one moving forward. That's why, because you've learned to take when life throws those obstacles at you, is to turn that into your superpower.
Yes.
So,
And to piggyback off what you just said, I'm a questions guy. I ask 100 questions to everybody. And so I can think of 4 or 5 people that when I ask them, hey, what are you thinking about multifamily? It's going in a weird direction, or like, hey, how is this gonna keep making us money? I had so many doubts in the beginning, and the people that are still rock stars today, they're still killing it. When I asked them that question, it kind of like made them confused. They were like, what do you mean not do multifamily? Like, like they were so committed, and they were so thought their long-term thinking, like they be the ones that are always doing the best. So
Awesome. Well, Brandon, I know you're busy. I know you're up in the rather warm loft, aka maintenance room.
yeah.
So I appreciate your time. We'll let you go. So you also have, I don't know if you're ready to announce this yet, but CapEx Academy program, right? So that is not too far from launching. Can you want to share a little bit more about your CapEx Academy?
Yeah, yeah. And so a little bit of a shift there in terms of like the delay has just been the platform we want to put it on. And
Mhm.
so been being very strategic with that, and want to roll out right. And just like multifamily, having any sort of educational program is also a full-time job. And you want to have a team, and you want to do it right, and you want to give whoever's going to be signing up your best, right? And so I learned that by watching other people do programs first. And so that's why I've been patient, because I want to make sure the timing is right, and that I'm giving it all my all. But so I think we're gonna shift over to more of like the education is definitely going to be there,
Mhm.
but there's going to be a community aspect to it, to where people can access resources they'll need if they decide to be the boots on the ground CapEx person. So
That's
that's where I'm
fantastic.
at. Yeah, that's where I'm at there. I want to definitely have the resource arm of that. And so it's probably still, 30, 60 days out. But
Okay.
looking forward to our May 15th uh, event,
We
virtual
do.
event.
We
Yeah.
do. Let's see. Next Wednesday, we have an event next Wednesday. We're going to discuss 6 frameworks to go from part-time real estate investor to a full-time real estate entrepreneur. So please, anybody, if you want to learn how to make that shift, make that jump, me, Brandon, and a few other really smart people are going to share our insights with you. Brandon, how can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more about you, work with you, or get insights on how to be better at CapEx and boots on the ground?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Apartment Avenger, or I'm also on Facebook, just Brandon Martinez, and just send me a DM, and I'll get back to you.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much. And remember, for more tips, tricks, and golden nuggets on real estate investing and entrepreneurship, be sure to follow us on your favorite social media platform. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in today.
Thanks for tuning in to the Stephen Lee Thomas Show today. And if you found value in today's episode, then I have a favor to ask you. Please share it with friends, family, and anyone who might benefit from the insights we shared today. Also, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. And if you aren't already part of our school community, then head on over to school.com/multifamily mastery hub and join today. And again, thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to connecting with you in our school community.